Consider for a moment the archetype, the mythology of the Bible that juxtaposes this individual that starts off androgynous and abstract, called Adam Harishon, Adam. He's created male and female. Many people, they don't really focus on this, but if you look in the biblical verse, you will see Zachar u'nekeva bara otam, created Adam, male and female. It's odd to our linear sensibility why that would be so. Interestingly enough, Adam was planted in a garden that was not of a worldly terrain. It was in a space called east of Eden. The word Eden in ancient Semitic dialect means time. So east of space and time, that's where this garden of ideas, where Adam is planted. So there is no fractaling of time. There is no past. There is no present. There is no future. There only is. And in that singularity, there is no male and female. There just is. And the analogy of Adam's dissatisfaction is a beautiful analogy for why the divine chose to split itself up. Why it chose to express itself as Alpha and Omega and pair together to create imperfection, to help manifest from the imperfection a greater actualized perfection. Adam is thrust into this garden, and Adam is distraught, for it has no mate, no counterpart. And the mythology goes that the creators brought Adam before all physical creation and said, do you see your counterpart here? This creation, this creation. And Adam saw no counterpart. And Adam was alone. But you see, in the mythology, in the biblical verse, after it creates Adam, on this sixth day, on this process, on the sixth, it says all the days except for Tuesday, except for Monday, it says ki tov, and it was good. And on the sixth day, it says ki tov ma'od, it was exceedingly good. That's when Adam was created as male and female and alone. And it says it doesn't say it was good. It says it was exceedingly good. What's wrong with Adam? Doesn't he realize that God created perfection, that everything is perfect, and he's just not appreciating enough? I would say that, in a lot of oppressive traditions, they would take a different tack. They would say, you're ungrateful, you're unappreciative, God created perfection, what are you doing being unhappy? But that's not the narrative of the mythology of the divine. The mythology of the divine says, and Adam gets put to slumber, and out of the side of Adam, they render Eve. And it's difficult to understand how the verse could qualify this description as being exceedingly good. If Adam is not happy, and it's not good. Without being heretical, but it seems one would question that perfection was not created. And the litmus test for that is the dissatisfaction of the creation. And that's the way many individuals who would assess this mythology, that is the deduction they would have. So let me add this extra insight. That the creators, and I say creators because all different personas and expressions of the creator worked cohesively to create Adam and render Adam with an understanding of what it is to be total and whole. But not to experience what it is to be without one's essential essence. And in creating that rendering, there was no one to give to, no one to share one's light with. There was no one to know. And that this was not a mishap, because the objective behind creation was to help create conditions whereby a love that was potential could formulate and crystallize into a love that is true and actual. And so I ask you, if Creator would, in the mythology, create, here's Adam, and here's Eve, and never experience what it is to be without. To what degree what octave of expression would Adam's love reach? Having never known what it is to be without. For certainly, if one first is imbued with the understanding of what it is to be without, then when they cultivate accessing what it is within, then that reunion and that love is far more vibrant, far more poignant, far more powerful. You know, when lovers dance, they dance together, and then they dance apart, and then they dance together, and they dance apart. And this is the way lovers dance throughout all cultures across the world. Because when you dance apart, it creates tension and attraction to reunite. It is the fuel, the substance of passion for eliciting immaculate reunion. And so, if you think about it, if you speak to individuals who are artistic in the arts, speak to a photographer, when film became obsolete, so to speak, and everything became homogenized and digital, there was a struggle for artists confronting the digital age and confronting the progression of homogenized renderings of perfection. Things that were rendered too perfect were seen as unreal, non-organic, homogenized expressions, counterfeit, fraudulent, without humanity and without spirit. And instinctually within the human psyche is an understanding that imperfection is the essential quality of what creates distinction and meaning. I mean, it is the difference of when an individual purchases something that is machine-made and handmade. Many believe that when you purchase something that's made by hand, you are purchasing more. You're acquiring more than the thing itself, but you are acquiring the spirit that has been imbued into the thing, into the act. Think about it. think about imperfection. Think about the terrain, the canvas of imperfection that has been rendered in order to contribute, to exist, to be, to illuminate, to recognize your irreplaceable expression. There are many that enter into relationships and quickly grow frustrated with the imperfections they find within their partner. And it's often indicative of a culture that is conditioned to aspire to an artificial facade of perfection that never was, but is an ideal that is manufactured and put out there to keep individuals in perpetual states of need, so that these individuals and their patterns of acquisitions and purchasing can be predicted. And if it were that individuals would snap out of it and realize that their partner is not a mate of convenience, but a mate of spirit. A dance partner who provides the canvas of imperfection, the vacuum whereby one can render their art, their beauty, their expression. Then there would be a reverence for the imperfection. And as you revere the imperfection, then the imperfection is disarmed and non-reactionary and begins to imbue the lessons of the light being shined upon it. And like film grain, there are no clear artificial borders and lines, but instead the definitions and lines begin to coalesce, flow, merge. And individuals expand beyond the linear construct of how they wish to define themselves and define another. Adam was created alone, in perfection. And the perfection was not human, not organic, not alive. It was a space of light. In fact, the mystics explain that when Adam was initially made of ore, like ore. He was energy. He was light. And when he partook in the tree, the fruit of polarities, and he ingested from the fruit of what is and what isn't, that we call good and evil, but he ingested into his system, he upgraded with this program the holographic understanding of what is and what is not. And when he took part in the polarities, he descended into a world that was more concentrated and more imperfect. And the mystics explain that he transferred from Or, which is with the letter Alpha, with the letter Aleph, into the word Or, with the letter Ayin, which is numerically equivalent to 70. 70 facets of light. The primordial light splintered into 70 principal variations of expression. And the terrain of individuals, the contrasts, the imperfections, they helped secure the sparks of that light. They sustain themselves hovering over each spark of truth, and the individual was then granted the capacity to rediscover, to fall in love, to romance the void, to reconstitute a greater whole. And the imperfection was exceedingly good. Because when you know what it is to be without, and you reclaim what is, then your love is far more poignant, far more powerful, far more true. Because instead of hypothetical love, that love is actualized, that love is forever.